Welcome. Effective alternatives to punishment, transforming behavior, strengthening bonds. Yes, we no longer have to choose. We can get better behavior and better relationships. I am going to walk you through that. And step one is I just want to acknowledge that you made the decision to come here. And I want to give you a lot of credit for that, but I really, really hope you take a moment to give yourself credit. There's nothing like building a muscle of giving yourself credit when you hear it in your own voice. I mean, big picture, we've been sold a model of parenting that doesn't work. I mean, it definitely doesn't work for us. We feel underwhelmed and under-resourced. It definitely doesn't work for our kids. We actually see generations of kids growing up without the skills they need for life. Punishing kids instead of helping them change, sending them away when they actually need us, building distance instead of connection, prioritizing control instead of effectiveness. This is a broken system. And yet, it keeps showing up. It's almost incredible. It keeps showing up in the media, in articles, in SEO things optimized whenever we Google something, in doctor's offices, in conversations with other parents, in our intergenerational patterns and family conversations. And listen here, because you knew somewhere deep in your bones, you have known there's a better way. And I want to just take this moment to acknowledge how huge that inner knowing is. And I have more good news. I mean, there are thousands of us, tens of thousands of us, who share in this inner knowing and have turned it into action. It's one thing to know there's another way. It's another thing to say, I'm going to turn that knowing into action. I'm going to join. I'm going to find that better way. I'm going to do that other way. And we are doing it together. You are not alone. And I know that where you live, you might feel alone. And that, I think, is so real. You might feel judged for the way you're parenting. Here, you belong. I mean it. Here you're surrounded by tens of thousands of parents in over 100 countries who are questioning the status quo, who lead with curiosity, not judgment, who lead with connection, not control, who know that punishing doesn't help and not punishing doesn't mean you're soft. You are surrounded by other parents who are building the skills their kids actually need for life. And you're also surrounded by other adults who are rebuilding those skills for themselves. You are part of something huge. It's important, it's real, and it matters. So let's talk about punishments and why they don't work. So this is a word I get a lot. Does this work? Will this work? Why don't punishments work? We have to break down this word work. I think we have to be a little bit more nuanced. What does it mean to work? I guess punishments, and I want to acknowledge this, they work in the following ways. I'm a realist, okay? Punishments are catharsis for us. We get to release, I always say, we just get to kind of vomit our frustration. It is so frustrating when you ask your kid not to do something and they do it in front of you while staring into your eyes, like beyond frustrating. And you know what we get to do when we send them to their room or take away their iPad for a week? Instead of having to manage our own frustration, which is hard, we just kind of get to vomit it onto them. We're like, I'm frustrated. Nope, now I'm going to put it onto you. It's catharsis. It works for that. I'm not going to lie. It actually does. Punishments also give us something concrete in front of us. Like we just see something we don't like, and then we give a punishment. We give a timeout. We make a threat, and we kind of say, I did it. I handled it, because it's very concrete. Punishments work in that they elicit a reaction from our kids. No, don't do that. I won't do it again. What we know from research is how upset a child is at a punishment has no relationship to change. We know that. So we do see a reaction, and we can fool ourselves into thinking that's going to have real impact. We know it doesn't, but again, in the moment, it works in that it makes us have that feeling. And I think on some level, punishments make us think we're doing a good job as a parent. And I know that sounds bad, but I believe it, because everyone punishes. Everyone before us has punished. It's like the first thing. You're not going to punish him? Oh, you're going to let him get away with that, right? We're looked at in a weird way if we don't punish. So punishments on some level make us feel like I'm doing this parenting thing the way I'm supposed to. I want to be totally real. Punishments do all of those things. And I think we've lost the plot. Do punishments work? Well, what are we working toward? they work in that they help us vomit our anger? Do they work in helping our kids learn to manage their anger? They work in that they elicit an immediate reaction from our kid. Do they work in that they elicit long-term actual behavior change? They work in that they give us something real and concrete after a hard moment. Do they work in that they teach us real concrete skills? They work in that they allow us to continue the status quo of parenting. But do they work in helping us raise kids who are confident, sturdy, and able to cope with the world? And I have to add, where's our relationship with our kid in these questions? What if we used the quality of our relationship with our kid as a barometer of working? I don't know if we'd say they work. Connection is the only strategy we actually have with our kids, especially as they get older. It's the only tool. Now, to be very clear, connection isn't based on keeping our kid happy. That actually is threatening to connection. Connection is not based on letting our kids' emotions drive us and drive our decisions. Also, that diminishes connection. We'll get more into this, but connection is really about seeing the good kid who's under the behavior and helping your kid change. And I want to start with a story, okay? Because it's one of the most poignant memories I have from my private practice. So years ago, I saw a family. There were parents and there was a 14-year-old son. And they came to me when the 14-year-old son started refusing going to school, right? So some of us were like, okay, my kid won't put on their shoes. My kid won't clean up. My kid, won't do their chores. Well, when you have a 14-year-old who won't go to school, right, we feel like the stakes are really high. So they came in a panic, which I think we can all understand. This is a kid who had a bunch of behavioral struggles, kind of their whole childhood. Kind of labeled, yes, like a difficult oppositional kid. Massive tantrums as a toddler. Behavior that was defined as kind of defiant and rude as a kid. And they came to me after seeing a lot of behavioral therapists and behavioral interventions. So I feel like the first 13 years of this kid's life was a series of timeouts, punishments, sticker charts, rewards, ignoring praise, all of that. And the parents who I loved, I mean this, deeply loved, just said, my son was always difficult. And we consulted the best top experts in our area, and this was the approach that was always recommended. Now this kid is 14, and for 2 weeks, this kid has refused to go to school. They punished, they threatened, they offered rewards, big ones, let me add, big rewards. Nothing helped, and this is what brought them to my office. I'll never forget, one of the sessions where I met with the parents and the kid. And I feel like the son kind of unleashed at his parents. And it was at once so vicious and so painful and so vulnerable. And I feel like what he basically said was, I don't care about your stickers. And you literally can no longer physically move me or put me into a timeout. You don't see me. You don't try to understand me. And you've been more interested in judging and criticizing me than in helping me grow up as a human being. And we have very little connecting us. I mean, the combination of his anger and his pain was so poignant to me. And the last thing I ever want to do is fearmonger. No matter how old your kids are, this is not some path you're destined to. And yes, with this family, I work with them. It's not too late. They made massive changes. And if you use a parenting approach, not here and there, but as a pattern that's based in shaping behavior, you miss out on years of being in a relationship with your kid. And by the time our kids get older, the only way we have any influence over them, the only way they ever do one thing that we want them to do that they don't individually want to do, is because of the quality of their relationship with us. Okay. The other thing is that if punishments work when our kids are young, because they kind of instill some fear in our kids, right? We're really sending the message that a loving relationship involves fear and control. I really don't think that's the relationship style we want our kids to carry into adulthood as normal and expected when they're looking for various partners. I'm looking for someone who loves me through fear and control. I really don't think that's what we want to do. And I have good news. I mean this. I think we can do so much better for our kids and for ourselves. And it's going to take small steps. But I really mean this. I always say small steps in the right direction are how we change. Big steps in a very different direction is how nobody changes. Definitely not me. Small steps in a slightly different direction. So what do we mean by working? Let's redefine working. I define working, a parent approach working, as staying connected to a good kid who is always underneath that bad behavior. So you can continue to build a relationship with your kid through the years and separate that relationship from the bad behavior you're helping them through. I often say connect first because connection is the only way we can improve behavior. It's not a nice to have, it's a foundation. I define working as helping kids build the real concrete skills they need to become the teens and adults they want to be, and we want them to be. Adults who can manage hard times in life, adults who feel confident and good about themselves, adults who believe in themselves, and adults, yes, who have healthy relationship patterns. None of those things start in adulthood. I think this is something that I've realized isn't obvious to everyone. Healthy relationship patterns, confidence, being willing to take on challenges, being willing to tolerate disappointment, those things don't start in adulthood. They start in childhood. Age does not give skills. It's what we do in the years that helps kids build skills as they age. And here's the best news. You are here to learn all those skills. I really mean this. I think it's the best place in the whole world to be doing this. And you made the decision to be here. I hope you continue to make the decision to stay here. This is a journey and you are here and we are doing it. A question I often get about this point is, well, why do kids need skills? Like what skills? Don't they know better? My kids aren't 2 anymore. They're 5, they're 8, they're 12, they're 16. Don't they know better? So I want to start with this before we get into a few other strategies. One of the biggest ideas I want us to consider is something I'm going to ask you to do with your 2 hands. Kids are born with all the feelings. Here's the feelings. And they're built with none of the skills to manage those feelings. Okay? I actually want you to do that. Doing it in our body really matters. This gap explains 99.99% of kids' bad behaviors. All the feelings, none of the skills. You might be wondering, well, how does that relate to behavior? Oh, feelings that don't have skills that match up come out in behavior every time. Every time you're frustrated with your kids' bad behavior, after this, you're going to come back to this. Feelings outpace skills. The feelings weren't the problem. Interestingly, the behavior isn't even the problem. Now, I'm not saying the behavior is enjoyable. The behavior, the hitting, the I hate you, it's a symptom of the problem, which is the gap between skills and feelings. Hitting, yelling, lying to your face. All of these moments come from having a big feeling, not yet having the skill to manage. I want you to think about a feeling in your body, right? Maybe you're mad at a friend who didn't invite you to a lunch, anything, a feeling, okay? And think about a skill as the right size container for the feeling. So the feeling can kind of live in that skill jar. When a feeling has a skill jar to live in, it doesn't come out as behavior. Well, what if you don't have that skill jar? It explodes out of you as behavior. It's a force. If it doesn't have a container to live in, it explodes out as a behavior every time. Now, I mean this. I hope this is mind-blowing to you. It's mind-blowing to me still to think about. Because I always come back to, wait, does every single thing come back to this? And kind of yes. And to me, that's very efficient. Wait, I can always use this to understand? I don't have to learn a million different ideas. No, everything come back to this. It's extremely efficient. We're too busy to learn a million ideas. This idea is so key to understanding all of our kids' behaviors. My kid's bad behavior isn't a sign they're a bad kid. My kid's behavior is a sign of 2 things. They're having a big feeling and they don't yet have the emotion regulation coping skills to manage it. Wow. We underestimate what percentage of our struggle is actually about a lack of understanding. We think our struggle and our problem is our kids' behavior. It's not. 90+% of it is simply misunderstanding. So now that you have this new understanding, I promise you, it's the foundation for so much change. A few examples, because I like to make things concrete. My 5-year-old is mad, maybe jealous, maybe also worried. Feelings can mix together. That let's say his brother is playing with his favorite truck. He has a big feeling, and do this with me. He does not yet have the skill to match the intensity of the feeling. The feeling anger comes out as a hit. or as a grab, or as a give it back to me now or else I'm never talking to you again. I don't have a bad kid. Feeling was bigger than the skills. What about my 15-year-old? Guess what? 15-year-olds don't magically get skills. We have to build them. My 15-year-old's mad when my 15-year-old saw a picture of, it seemed like a friend of hers was flirting with someone she liked. She saw this picture. Ooh, she is mad, mad, mad. Well, if my teen does not have the skill to match that feeling might come out as starting a mean rumor about my friend in a group text. It might. And we are not above this. I'm mad that my husband came home after he told me he would come home, and I'm not recognizing my anger, or maybe still as an adult, I don't quite have the skill I would need. My anger is going to come out as snapping at him later about something totally random, or maybe passively aggressively, kind of like forgetting to pick up a prescription he asked me to pick up on my way home the next day. We are the same way. And to paint a different picture, what about when kids do have regulation skills? What do kids say? Because to be clear, the answer isn't to not feel angry. This is a messed up concept we've all taken in, especially women. No, we want you to feel angry. Angry is information. If I'm angry as a kid when my brother has my toy, but I can manage the anger, I'm gonna do this. Hey, that's my toy, I want that back. When are you gonna be done? Anger regulated. Or I might say to a friend, right? Hey, I saw a picture of you. It seemed like you were flirting with that person I just told you I had a crush on. Like, can we talk about this? Do you have a crush on that person? Is something else going on? What's happening? I want to get to the bottom of it. Or I say to my husband, I expected you home around 6, and I thought we had agreed on it. I felt pretty upset when you were home later. And it's important for me to know that I can expect you home, or at least you'll text me if you're late. Can we figure this out so it doesn't happen again? Anger regulated. All of these happen because I could regulate anger and get information from it. My feelings all have information. I want my toy back. I want to figure out if my friend's flirting. I want to know what's going on with my husband. When I can regulate anger, I can use it productively, and that is the core of healthy individuals and healthy relationships. A little review. Kids are bored with all the feelings, none of the skills to manage those feelings. If this is starting to feel boring for you, if you're like, I got it, that's amazing. I'm going to say this until boring is a sign we've internalized an idea. So I'd actually want you to get bored. If not, say it again. And I want you to say it with me. All the feelings, none of the skills to manage those feelings. That is a problem. The feeling is not the problem. The feelings give us information. The feelings give us important information about what we need and what we value and how we want to operate in life. Also, this is key, the behavior isn't the problem. The hitting, the group text. Now, is it problematic? Sure, it's actually not the problem. This is a huge mind blow moment. It's a symptom of the problem. The problem is the lack of skills. And when we recognize that, it becomes very obvious why punishments don't work. I send my kid to their room, and the problem is a lack of skills. I think my 5-year-old is Googling healthy coping mechanisms to deal with anger when my brother takes my toy. If your kid does that, please let me know. If the actual behavior isn't the problem, when I talk to my 15-year-old about that group text, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm getting to the root of the problem, which was a lack of skills, which probably is related to how alone she felt in that moment. Punishments don't build skills. They never have, they never will. We've tried for centuries, and we can do better. Next big concept. I want to talk about being a good inside coach, because that's who you are. You are a sturdy leader, and you are also a coach. Because think about this, okay? Think about coaching in any other area of life. Think about being a tennis coach. You're your kid's tennis coach, okay? And you're watching your kid hit the ball into the net over and over and over. And you kind of have seen them hit the ball over the net before. You know they're capable of it. Nope, not today. Into the net, into the net, into the net. There's 2 frameworks we can be in. A punishment coach and a good inside coach. Let's go through it. Punishment coach. I just see the errors. I just see the hitting. I'm so overwhelmed with frustration, right? Frustration. I probably can't even remember a time when this kid hit the ball over the net. What am I saying to myself in this mode? What's wrong with my kid? I mean, I've told him to hit the ball over the net. He knows to hit the ball over the net. And then I pull away, my kid from the court and I say, what's wrong with you? You know better. Go to your room and come out when you can hit the ball over the net. I mean, if you saw your kid have that coach, are you like, oh, it's amazing. So much faith. This is going to go so much better the next time, right? And now think about the kid. What's the impact on the kid? Do any of us think the kid is going to perform better the next time? How would he? I mean, we haven't helped him with the problem. We've added shame. We've added blame. We've added anxiety. We haven't helped, and we've added factors that make the person have worse behavior. Like, I really mean this. It makes no sense to me. I'm like, I don't even understand the theory of why this would be helpful. Let's talk about a good inside coach, okay? Same thing. Your kid used to hit the ball over the net. Nope, into the net, into the net. This is the big difference, and I want you to stay with me because it's critical. You don't think that the kid's problem is the hitting the ball into the net. It's not the problem. You think it's a symptom of the problem. And actually, you might say to yourself, I don't exactly know what the problem is. I don't know. Is it the grip? Is it their body position? Is it their negative self-talk? You actually don't know the problem. And this is actually the beauty of good inside. You get so much more comfortable with not knowing. As soon as you don't know, you can be a little more curious. There's a gap between the feeling and the skills, but what exactly is the problem? The problem is not hitting into the net. There is a gap between a good kid and their behavior. So you might think, what is causing this error? Is it the body positioning, the grip? Is it the follow through? Is it the self-talk? Is it that this kid actually doesn't have enough strength? You can see that now that I'm questioning the problem, my intervention would be completely different. This is why when someone says, what's a good intervention for hitting? I'm like, well, I don't know, is there a new baby in the family? Is there a lot of jealousy? Is this a kid who struggles with boundaries? Like, one thing on the surface gives us clues to ask questions, but it definitely doesn't tell us what the problem is. We have smarter glasses. We see through that as a good inside coach. We wonder. We know we have a good kid. We know they're missing some skills, and now we can actually come up with interventions that work. What would a good inside coach do? They'd pull the kid off the court, probably, and say this: I'm on your team. You're a good kid. You're a good player who's having a hard time. I am going to help you figure this out. As a good inside coach, I'm not judging the behavior as much as I'm being curious about what's causing the behavior. Judging the behavior, curious about what's causing the behavior. Completely different. A good inside coach also says, what skills is this player missing? Right? And then maybe they say, actually, I think it is the grip based on what I know. I'm going to start there. And what's the impact on the kid? The kid feels connected. The kid feels supported. The kid feels empowered. The kid feels like the coach has faith in them. The kids feel like they're actively learning and growing instead of being sent away or being punished. And here is something so critical, and I want you to keep in mind because you are countercultural as you do this. Do you think this good inside coach, as they have this different way of approaching tennis, is encouraging errors? Oh, see, Dr. Becky, the problem with that coach is that kid's going to walk away and say, my coach thinks it's totally okay to hit the ball into the net. It's literally crazy making when I'm like, that doesn't, no one would think that. We say that all the time about our kids. If I don't punish my kid, they're going to think it's okay to hit their sister. If I don't take away a privilege from my 15-year-old, they're going to think that I think it's okay to just start this rumor about a friend in a group. Like, is this something that has passively been given to us? And I'm going to ask you to join me in just having a little more nuance. Like, really? No. I don't think a kid would ever say that. When you frame it in any other way but parenting, it's laughable. No one thinks that good inside coach is soft. No one thinks they're letting the player get away with it. It doesn't make sense. And here's the core of it. Trying to understand bad behavior does not equal approving of bad behavior. This is the thing people conflate all the time. And you and I together, I mean this, are going to change the world as we tell all the people around us, trying to understand my kid's behavior does not mean I approve of that behavior. If I dropped my phone and it cracked, I would want to understand what led to the cracking of my phone. That does not mean I approved of the cracking of my phone. It's absurd, it's illogical, and it's time for us to take a stand that has never made sense. Trying to understand behavior is the first step to clarifying what the actual problem is. And that's the first step toward building skills. Okay, how do we become good inside coaches? First of all, this is what you're doing here. You already took the hardest first step, which is saying, you didn't know this. You're signing up for a Good Inside coaching program. Congratulations, you've been accepted into this cohort. I really mean it. You already are here. You are here. And before we go further, let's all check all of these thoughts that we have. Me too. I have totally not been doing this, right? I have a feeling right now you're thinking, I messed up my kid. Yeah, I've totally not been doing this Good Inside coaching. I'm a horrible parent. I'm that punishment coach. Okay, say hi to all those thoughts. And I really mean it. Say hi. Hi, I'm a horrible parent thought. Hi, I messed up my kid forever thought. Hi, oh my goodness, I'm the only one who right now feels like, I got this all wrong thought. Greet those thoughts because that's the way you ensure they don't take over you. And right now, I want you to just write the words, I have, if you've punished your kid or been in punishment coach mode. Just write, I have. I'm going to tell you something, and I don't need you to keep it secret. I have, not like years ago, like, I don't know, 2 days ago, like yesterday, like this morning. We all go into punishment coach mode. It's wired into us sociologically. It's like there. We are fighting it. You are fighting it. The best it gets for anyone, me included, is watching yourself slip into that mode, acknowledging it, coming out, and getting back into Good Inside coach mode the next interaction you can. That's the best it gets. It really is. We are fed the idea of punishing behavior instead of building skills. We were raised that way. It is hard-coded in the world around us. You are doing something, I mean this, we are doing something revolutionary. You have not messed up your kid forever. Your kid could be 5, 15, 45. The right time to change is always right now. I always come back to that myself. I love it. The right time to change is always right now. Your timing is impeccable. It couldn't have been any earlier than today. And now, also, you're part of something generation changing, not just your generation and your family, generations of kids around you. You are part of this. I want you to write down these words. I am in the right place at the right time. I am in the right place at the right time. Because you are. Okay. I think we kind of covered the why punishments don't work part. Great. We're ready for the next section. What is an alternative? And I love this because people get this wrong, and I get it. When I tell people I don't punish my kids, they think I do this all day. Oh, you're having such big feelings. Or, oh, you want to watch another show? Okay, shows are so fun, no problem. I've literally never said any of those things, okay? That is not an effective alternative to punishment. There are effective alternatives to punishment. It's literally what we do at Good Inside. It is between those extremes. Firm boundaries and warm connection. We can improve behavior and strengthen bonds at the same time. And I'm going to go over 5 key things. This is like a swapping system. Because I know for parents, they say, I don't want to do punishments, but if I don't have a clear system, if I don't literally have things to do, Dr. Becky, if you don't literally give me things to do, I'm going to resort to punishment just because we resort to something if we have nothing. 100%. Someone else said something to me recently that I love. In challenging moments,